What is going on, everyone? I am the Intellivision Gamer, and welcome to episode 11. Before we get started, if you like Intellivision content, please consider giving this video a like and subbing to the channel. We put out a lot of good content on these shows, spend a lot of time. I hope you enjoy them. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram under the Intellivision Gamer. And today we have a special guest co-host, Rick Reynolds from the Intellivisionaries podcast. And the main topic for tonight's show is we're going to show you how to take a Nintendo DSi, which if you don't already have one, can be picked up fairly cheap, and convert it into playing Intellivision games. Now, this is a very cool thing. It works very well, and we're going to go through it in real time, step by step. Rick's going to walk us through it. He's had one for quite a while, and I'm going to convert one of mine right here with you guys, showing you guys step by step. Of course, we're going to have this week's news. We are going to have a homebrew highlight on Fox's Quest, which is one of Rick's favorite games. He picked it up when he was at PRGE the year before. And we're also going to do a mail call. So let's go ahead and welcome everyone in chat before we get started. Cyrus, Super Mega Graphics 64, very cool guy, cool channel. Be sure to check him out. Who is next? We've got Kurt Bradshaw. Welcome, Kurt. Thanks for coming in again. PJ Smith, my bowling partner. Eddie Wolfen, nice to see you on here. Yes, it is on. I hope it is anyway. E. Buckeye, welcome. You made it for a live one. All right. Eric Lamb, welcome, sir. Michael Hayes, how are you doing? I bet you're at work, right? DJC, what is going on? Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition champ, by the way. Woo! Nice. Roger Matthews, welcome. You made it. You're not napping. It's been a while since you've caught a live one. All right, guys. So quick show update before we get started. To work better with Papa Pete and his show, we are going to be going to Monday nights, and a big thanks to DJC Game Studios for working with us on that one. We're going to be on a little bit earlier because it's kind of late and Papa Pete show's there. So to watch both of them, it's a lot of sitting there and watching. Even if you like it, it's a lot. So starting in a couple more weeks, and I'll let you guys know, we only have a little bit more set for Tuesday. We're going to be moving to Monday at 5:45. So it'll be or 5:30. So it'll be hour 15 earlier. It'll be a little better for the East Coast and beyond guys to catch the show and stay up. It works with my schedule as well. And Papa P can go on as long as he wants, and I can go on a little early or a little late, and it's not going to affect anyone. I think it'll work out for the best. I'll just have to be sure that I'm ready for the show come the weekend. A lot of times on the weekends, I'm fairly busy, so I'll just have to be ready. But again, I'll let you guys know on that move. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and do the news real quick, and then I'll pop on our co-host. So this week, there's not a lot of new stuff. So 2023 Homebrew Awards this Sunday, April 7th. It's the last day to vote. If you haven't voted, go vote, participate. This is just a way to give all these programmers and publishers and the people that work on the game some recognition and some awareness to all these games. Because a lot of people, they don't realize all the games that come out. They miss a lot. That's the whole point of my channel. I try to bring you guys any kind of games, hardware, information, expos. I want to let you guys know about everything that's Intellivision related. So one of the shows coming up, in fact, is the Midwest Gaming Classic. That's going to be this weekend. Now, Mike of Mike's Gaming Gala, and I'm sure others, he's going to be going. And following Tuesday, he is going to come on and tell us about the show, his experience, how it compares to PRGE. We're going to look at pictures. Maybe I'm thinking some video as well. That'll be fun to see all, what that show has to offer. Ghostbusters Ultimate Edition. If you haven't received your digital package yet, they are working one by one in the order that you purchased. So if you haven't got it, it should be there soon. I'm not sure if everyone has theirs already. Very cool digital package, by the way, until we get our physical game. And I'll just show you guys a label. I'm sure you guys have seen me post it, but for those of you that haven't, I'll show you the label. So this is just for the early supporters for this first part. You got campaign supporter version. This is the label for the cart. after this, you will just have a regular label. So it's kind of cool that, you get some kind of special label for supporting the game on its initial release. All right, so we also have still some homebrew games available. Some of you might have missed it, so I like to bring it up. We have opcode games, and I didn't stop screen here. Opcodegames.com for Xerion, Naughty Boy, and The Goonies. Now, for those of you that may not know, Goonies. Hold on. I just love that auto play from your phone on YouTube. Does it when I'm in the car. It just randomly started playing my own video from the beginning right now. Didn't touch a thing. So the Goonies, if you don't have Goon Enough, it is a modded, enhanced version. It's mostly the same game. But if you don't have Goon Enough already, this is perfect. Pick it up. It's a great game. Another game that is still available is Napoleonic Wars. And you email Homebrew Inc. at hotmail.com for Napoleonic Wars. It's on the screen there. That's a great game. And actually, next week's show, we are going to have on Brian, who was the programmer, and Mike, who had a big part in the game as well as a play tester and other items. They're going to come on. They're going to show me how to play the game, and it's going to be the Homebrew highlight next week. So if you want to get a little more in-depth view, we'll show off everything in the box. I'll finally open my copy, and we'll play it and get some expert tips and advice from the guys who have played it and who programmed it. And the one last thing I want to bring up, if you like game music, game soundtracks, search Atari Age. I'll have the link in the description. Neundir's Intellivision soundtrack CDs for $24. There are 5 of them. I talked about 4 of them. One of them you can't put online yet. It is a secret one, but when you get it, you will like it. It'll be your favorite one. It is I cannot wait for that game. I hope that game makes it out. Everyone will want this game, trust me. So let me see. I think that's about it for the news. We got a little bit more here. So the weekly game challenge. This week's game was Safecracker. Now, I don't know if people just don't know how to play the game or if only a few people had the game, or maybe everyone was just busy this week, but we only had 2 participants. I didn't know how to play the game. I've had a heck of a week. I did not have time to participate. There was 2. So you had Kirk Kietsky with 17,100 points, and then it was Kevin Schultz was the only other player who hosts the weekly challenge, and he had 15,400. So it's fairly close, but only 2 people playing it. This week's game is Blockade Runner, and it is currently running till Sunday the 7th. The current high scorer, Rick Weidman, Rickster, this guy is always phenomenal at playing Intellivision games. 47,280 so far. And again, that's going to go through Sunday. If you have a way to play, you don't have to be able to stream online. You can play and just take a picture and then type in the comment, put your score. And again, that's on the Intellivision Invasion Facebook group. It's about 5,000 strong members. If you aren't a member, I highly suggest it. It's a great group. You get all kinds of posts there. It's a great place to ask questions, see new products, see YouTube videos, all kinds of different things on that group. And the bowling league, we had playoffs last week, but it got postponed. And I didn't confirm it, but I believe we're supposed to be playing this Thursday. And if we're not, I will give you guys an update next week. So let's go ahead. I only have a few things for mail call, but I'm going to bring on our special guest. Please welcome Rick Reynolds from Intellivision Aries Podcast. Welcome, Rick.
Hey there, thanks.
So I only got a few more things before we get started. We have kind of a fun topic today, but kind of put you on the spot here. Any kind of update on the new podcast? Are you guys recording yet at all for the episode, or is it still going to be a while? Can you give us maybe a little update for the people and maybe just talk about the podcast in general for those that are not aware of it?
Yeah, sure. So Intellivision Aries is a podcast been around almost 10 years now. We started, I guess about 10 years ago. Paul Nermanen was my co-host that kind of really kicked it off. About, I don't know, was it about a year ago or so, maybe a little more? He decided he needed to take a step back, and just from personal stuff. There's just hobby time is hobby time in terms of this stuff, And so it's just Chris Chris Martin and I are doing the show now. And it's been a little challenging. My life is not at all the same as it was 10 years ago when we started this thing. My kids were much younger and into less things. And so now I'm very busy, as you can guess, with two teenage boys. It's really hard to carve out time to make the show. So we do have a plan to cover 2 games in the next episode. We're going to look at two arcade ports. We're looking at Gorf and a Death Race. So I've been playing those and trying to get a feel for what to say about these ports. They're both pretty simple games, but this should be fun to talk about. I can't tell you anything more about release dates or anything like that. Chris and I had a release date on the calendar, and then I got sick, and we couldn't record when we wanted to. So both Chris and I have decided that we need to set a date and say, this is what we're heading towards, because if we keep moving along with the attitude of, well, we'll record when we're ready, it's just too easy for it to drop to the bottom of the priority list. We've been discussing ideas on how to get more regular with the podcast. We really enjoy doing it. But it is a bit of labor of love, as they say. We do still enjoy doing it. We still plan on doing it.
Yeah. So when I found the podcast, you guys have already been doing it for years. And I remember at work, because I listen to a lot of YouTube and podcasts at work, and people are coming up to me like, what are you listening to? Because, it's loud. And I literally listened. I got so hooked on it once I found it. I listened I don't think anyone's ever done it quicker. I was 5 days a week, about 5.5 to 6 hours a day. I was just watching these things and until they were done. And then I'm like, oh, now I have to wait for episodes. I'm used to just having it, episode after episode. And I look forward to every single one. They're very thorough, well done, full of information. Anyone who does not know about it, check up Intellivision's podcast. Wherever you watch your podcast, I watch it listen to it on my iPhone. There's a wealth of information there. You will not regret it. So, all right, well, let me show you guys real quick. I have a mail call, and it's just a couple little things I've got. Now that I do it on a weekly basis, sometimes I might not have anything, but today I have 3 things to show you. Not all of it is Intellivision related, but I did receive Friday my 400 Mini. I never really had retro computers as a kid, so when these come up, I love these things. You can play a lot of different things on here, USB controllers, and I plan on digging into some of these old computer games when I get some time. Now, this one, I believe it's a book. It's really heavy. Sometimes I order so much stuff, and I don't know when it's coming. I forget what's what. Yes, it is. So this I found. I saw them posted it was over, and I said, man, I would have bought that had I known. And this is the greatest arcade video games. And I believe this came from Australia. Man, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure. And I got a message from the person. I said, hey, if you want a copy, I can still get you one. And of course, I said, yes, I have so many books and all retro gaming books, especially if they have Intellivision in them. I love getting them. Now, this is, it's not humongous like in size this way, but man, these are just great, thick, nice color pages. And I'll try to find the link. I don't know if they're still available. If I can find the link and they're available, I will put that in the description. Now, the last thing I got is something I bought, I don't know, I would say a few months ago. And I told him, don't rush it whenever you can get it. And I got this from the Intellivision dude. And some of you guys might be well aware of what this is. There were Sears overlays made, and there was also a poster. And I believe there was 2 posters, but this is one of them. And I imagine it's not easy to get this. And I'm going to open it up here if I can do it without ripping the plastic it's in. I think I got it here. So I appreciate the Intellivision dude selling me this. Let me back up some. So here it is. Nice big poster from the Sears overlay set. And that is all I have today for mail call. I do have a cool item that should be here tomorrow, one day late, and that's going to come on next week's episode. It's another arcade-style game controller that was made several years back, and they're near impossible to get. And big thanks, and I'll say who sold it to me next week. I can't wait to show it off. Now, this is going to be the Homebrew highlight. This is one of Rick's favorite games, right?
Yeah,
Or favorite from that year. You're like me. You love the puzzle games. I mean, I like a lot of different games, but I love the puzzle games. What was the actual genre that you said this one was that falls into?
Yeah. Yes, this is a particular kind of sokoban game, it's called. So basically, it just means you're pushing. It's a pushing game. You push blocks around, and you have to get them into the right places. And it's super easy to, like, push it to a place, and then you can't move it again because it's against the wall, something like that.
Roger Matthews says, "Hey, Rick, looking forward to the next podcast. I enjoy listening when I'm driving." I did that too. I think you guys released one right before PRGE, and I have about a 10.5-hour drive.
Yeah.
And I got to listen to a lot of that one when I was driving. Cyrus says, "I have an old iPhone I use as an iPod, and it literally filled with their podcasts." Yes. EE Buckeye, they shipped my 400 mini in a bubble envelope. Ooh, yeah, mine. Well, you're better than me. Mine was just like one of those bags, but it showed up all right. So as long as it shows up all right, I'm okay. So this is a rare thing for me. This is my sealed copy. I feel really weird doing this because I normally don't do this.
Oh, I do it.
Oh, I just cringe when I do it. Since I
always,
started, doing videos, it's like, oh, I got to open stuff and look at it and show people. And it's like, there goes my shrink wrap. I never would have did this years ago. Oh, come on.
I've always had a different mindset around the collection. I buy them to play them. Like, that's my main thing. So,
but Rick, as well as we buy two. We leave one like this, and then we open one.
Right.
But I don't buy two anymore because so many games are coming out, and I'm, still kind of going over catch-up mode. I just can't buy two of everything anymore. I'm not rich.
Me
right.
either. I've never been in the buy two club, so.
Yeah, I only do it on certain titles. So here is Fox Quest. Let me make this a little bit different size here. So here's the front of the box. Here is the back of the box. I call it a puzzle game, but there is another official title I already forgot.
Sokoban. But
Sokoban.
It's box pushing, basically. That's what it is.
All right. So something's stuck in there. I think it's from the glue from the box. Come on. I'm going to... Oh, my gosh. Oh, finally. So this one comes from Blah Blah Woof Woof. And it comes with a temporary tattoo. Blah, blah, woof, woof. Here is, another one. I wonder if I was supposed to have two. There was one stuck in there. So here is the cartridge. It's a regular Mattel type cartridge. Let me show you the manual here. Simple manual. And here is the overlay. Try to get it there. You got restart level, title screen. Now, restart level is for when you get stuck, right, Rick?
Yeah, you can literally make a level unwinnable.
Okay. And so, nice of them to put a button there so you don't have to reach up and hit your restart when you're stuck. Title screen, undo last move. Now, is undo last move something that's limited or endless?
Limited. It's literally just the last move. So it's only for, oops, I pushed that too far. Go back. Like, if you get far into it and you're like, oh, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have put that block there, and you've even stepped away from the block, you only get the one move back. You can't get there.
Okay. So we're going to give the game a quick run, and I have tried it, but it was literally just to see the game work. I have really no clue really what I'm doing. So I figure we'll just play it a couple minutes as a homebrew highlight. I picked it in your honor tonight. Oh, we got C-Mart. Any chance Rick is wearing pants? I'd say it's doubtful. Just don't stand up.
It's that's why the camera's at this height. That's why.
Rick forgets names all the time. Yeah, I am starting to get that way too. All right, so let me switch on over.
I have some kind of mental block with names. It's terrible.
All right, so here is the title screen, Fox's Quest. So you can, right off the get-go, you can just pick whatever level you want to start at?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so we're definitely starting at level 1. Got my first job, pushing boxes. Level 1, get ready. Let me get the name off here so it's not blocking the screen. Don't let me forget to put this back on later. Okay, so explain to me everyone what we're doing here in this game.
Yeah, so you see the guy, you got this kind of 3D perspective, and you need to get those 6 little X crates, if you will. You need to push them so that they land on the 6 circles that were on the right. That's where they need to end up. And sorry, go ahead.
You need to make a plan where you don't get one where you can't move it and get all 6 over there over the circles.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So you need to like it's very, it's like I say, it's super easy to like set it up so where you can make no more progress or various things like that. So.
Oh, and this is keeping track of my moves.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do it, if like that is traditional in Sokoban games where you'll be like, you need to solve the puzzle in less than 30 moves or something like that. There's no limits in this version of the game. So it's just there for your, like, going for your own personal best kind of a thing.
Okay. Yeah, I was like just moving around and then I noticed, hey, it's like adding up.
Right.
So I'm trying to think of, and you can't put 2 back to back?
Well, if you put 2 back to back, that you can't, like if there's 2 this way, you can't push them to the side anymore. That you can't push, you can only push one at a time.
I would not be pushing this one to the left, or maybe I could. So how would you tackle this one?
So my first guts, I would go to the right and around the horn and push, down. I would go to the right and then down and then push that up 1, maybe. I hope that's right. And then you're going to go to the left and get around that block and push him all the way to where he needs to go.
Now, there's also a strategy in where you put these blocks. I just don't want to shove it over there. I might want to think where I put this one, right?
Yeah.
Like, would I want to put it? Does it matter where I put it at this point, or up, or once you get it here on this level, it doesn't matter?
This level's a little easy, so just put it into the corner and you'll be fine. So the problem here now, I may have screwed you already. I'm not sure. The problem here is you're going to need to go to the right and up that little tunnel to the top there. Push that one left. Push that one up. And I think at this point, I screwed you on the first move.
Yeah, because we're stuck.
Yeah,
I can't get in there to push that other one down.
Yeah. So you can hit restart level and try a different block first, That's what I like about these is you try something, you're like, whoops, that was a mistake, so let's try this instead. So maybe go up first, push left, push up, and then go to the left and then push that one down into the tunnel so you can get around it, and then go around to the left and push that one out, put it into the corner, then go get
I can put this one.
Yeah, go get the other one. It's a low-hanging fruit now.
And then I think we kind of got it because it's just a matter of there's nothing stuck. Yeah. Push the one in the middle down, and then one by one get them, right?
Down. Yeah, stop there and then go around. There you go, right? Yeah. Yeah, so now we're good. You'll be able to get the rest of them.
And this gets fairly difficult, right?
Oh yeah, I've never finished it. There are 16 levels, and I think I've gotten through level 9 and gotten stuck on 10.
Oh wow!
Myself, it's just a matter of you have to it's just going to take some time and try this, try that, try this, try that. And of course, by the time I get to level 10, I've been playing for 3 hours. Yes.
Yeah.
I run out of mental capacity.
I love.
Right, so this one will be a little tricky. Mildly so. Push it all the way down, then you got to go around. Yeah. There you go.
I like this. All right, so we'll take a look at this one. It's great. Finally, I missed it. I was looking at the other screen. Oh wow! So now we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and it's the same kind of thing where you just have to kind of make a plan and just go for it. And whenever you get stuck, there's that push the 1 button and you can restart. So very cool game.
And the just a few like just things you start learning, like as soon as you push a block to a wall, you can't get it off that wall unless it goes left or goes the other direction to get to a gap. Like once it's against the wall, you can't pull it back off the wall, right?
Yeah,
so you got to go laterally at that point. And if you ever get one in a corner, it's done. Like if it ever ends up in a corner, that one's finished. So you got to think about that. If you're thinking, oh, I'll just push it over there. If that's a corner, that's a no good.
You have to be able to at least come around to another side of it to move it back into play where it can be pushed around.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool game. I'm going to have to play that more. I like puzzle games. Now, I don't think this game's still available. Do you know if he's going to be putting more out or is he done? I know at one point he was going to put more.
Right. I actually don't know the details on that.
Yeah.
There's always a possibility that, someone will, some of these publishers sometimes will publish each others, like Rev sometimes releases David's games, and there's always hope for something. But
yeah, someone will, hey, I'll do a run of that, and it's like hope we get some more because I don't believe there's been a lot released. It's a fairly rare game, and he doesn't release the ROM.
Yeah, so I don't know any ROM for it because I'd love to have the ROM for it, but
yeah, that would be nice. Now I have these modded consoles, which look great, and I'm happy, but it's always nice to have the ROM and have that option, especially for about what we're about to talk about. That's another great reason. So the main topic for tonight is, maybe you've seen it before, maybe you haven't. We're going to take a Nintendo DSi, and we're going to, I don't know if the word is hack or mod it, and we're going to show you how to play Intellivision games on your DSi, and it is a really cool thing. And for those of you not familiar, the top screen's a game screen, the bottom screen is a touch screen, which works perfect. They make overlays for the bottom that you can get. You can also create your own if you're talented in such ways. I am not. So we're going to go ahead and pop into that. We're going to go step by step. Rick, how long have you had one, Rick?
I'm going to say I modded this one not quite 2 years ago. I had it at PRGE last year in this modded form, and I know I had it some months before that. So I just can't remember when I did this one. So yeah, with the advent of the INTV DS or emulator that came out, I got interested in it again. I had a DS for a while and had a multi-cart for it. Was playing some different DS games on it. And that also enables you to do some homebrew stuff. And I was playing it for a while, and then I kind of put it away and wasn't really pulling it out all that often. And then I saw there was an Intellivision emulator that was getting a lot of attention and a lot of love. And I'm like, okay, I need to get back into this.
So are there limitations to it? What kind of games might it not play? What can it play? Can it, tell us, can it do all types of games like IntelliVoice, ECS, and so forth?
Yeah. So at this point, a few versions ago, there were a handful of limitations. So the code base for it is an older emulator. I'm forgetting is it free INTV? Maybe he built it on. I can't remember exactly. And so at one point, like, there was no ECS support, in that emulator, stuff like that. But since then, he's really been working on it in the last 6 months to a year. He's put out several releases in just the last couple of months. And so now it will do it will do ECS games. It will do IntelliVoice stuff. It will handle the JLP boards that a lot of the modern homebrews are doing. So it can handle like the onboard instruction set that JLP brings for some of the more advanced homebrew. It can do all the different bank switching schemes that we're aware of in the homebrew community right now. Basically, the author is kind of like, look, at this point, I kind of expect it to run about everything. So if you see something that it doesn't run, let me know and I'll dig into it. So yeah, it's really matured over the last 6 months to a year.
Now, what about games like Rick Dynamite and other games that have save states where you can complete longer games? Does it allow saves?
Yes, it'll do the JLP board style save, but it'll also do the like the emulator itself will let you save states. So like any game, you could save the state with a hotkey kind of a thing. So the JLP save is not necessarily as important at that point. To Michael Hayes' question, I'm not aware that it handles tutor vision, any tutor vision stuff in it. But he, like I said, he's very active. If people are reaching out, like right now, what is there? Like, I think there's 5 total ROMs you can play on Tutor Vision. So, if the community rallied around the Tutor Vision, he'd probably step up. But at this point, there hasn't been much need for it, I guess.
Yeah, not many people even know that those things exist.
Right.
But yeah, I've seen a lot of the updates, and I've been wanting to do this for quite a while. I reached out to you a while ago talking about it, and I was like, finally, I'm like, yeah, we need to just have you on sometime. It'd be great to have you on anyway. Plug the podcast, go over a game, and then talk about modding it. So he says we're up to 5 now.
I think
there's not a lot.
It's either 3 or I could be wrong. There's either 3 or 4 original carts that they dumped, right? Then I'm forgetting who. Someone programmed a computer simulation thing for the Tutor Vision. As a homebrew, there's like one homebrew that handled that, and of course, as Chris pointed out earlier, I'm terrible with names, so I don't remember who it is.
You are making them seem very correct.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know the name either. So what we're gonna do today, I found all our old DSs, so we're gonna take a DS. It's never been modded. We're gonna use an SD card. 16 gig.
You see it. It's Michael Hayes. I was about to say, I thought it was Michael Hayes, but I know I'm so bad.
Yeah. Michael Hayes.
Yeah. Little Man Computer is the homebrew for that. And I'm wrong. It's 4. There were 3 that we dumped. I just did a listing on my system here. There's 3 that we dumped in the community, and then the 4. Yeah. Michael Hayes, I think I'm wrong. I think it's 4.
Sean says that's age, Rick.
I'd love to plead age, but I have told, in a former life, a former career, I was a teacher, and I used to tell my kids, look, I will get your names maybe by Christmas. It's just, that's what it's going to be, right?
Yes, Eddie, the DSi, you can pick them up cheap on eBay if you don't already have one. This is a great way to utilize these old handhelds, and it's not just Intellivision, of course, that they can play, but that's our focus here today. Michael says there are the 3 if you count Geographics, so that's 4. Right. If there's a 5th one, I'd love to know about it.
Yeah, no, I was miscounting. It's the 3. Just in terms of talking about this, so the DSi is really, as I understand it, really the sweet spot in terms of emulation for Intellivision. The early models of the DS, I guess they're called in the community the DS Fat, because they were a little chunky, the handhelds. And it's sort of straight DS. We'll run all this stuff. You can do the same thing with it, but it will on some of the newer homebrews that do a ton of this page shifting and all this kind of stuff. These tricks that they're doing, it might chunk a little bit, right? It won't be quite as smooth. But the DSi has all the horsepower you need and to spare, and it's really great.
Yeah, I've read that it'll run anything that you want to do in Intellivision, everything on full. And there are a lot of settings that you can go through, as you're going to see whenever we do this. So we're just taking a regular DSi. I have a 16 gig SD card, and we're going to download some software and kind of go step by step. And we're going to show you what you can do. And I have most of the files here. Save us that time of searching. But let's go ahead and get started and do this piece by piece and show everyone.
Just to say, I mean, I happen to be using a micro that's in an adapter. Like that doesn't matter at all for what we're talking about. Either one works. So
you just have to have a memory card that works in there. I don't know. Are there size limitations? Like, because I know this plays other games as well. Is there a certain size that you can't go past on the DSi?
That I don't know about. Mine is also 16 gigs, so we know that's big enough. That's not too big. I have not pushed it. Some of this old hardware, like I know, for example, like on like the Cuddle Cart and the Atari 1700 and 2600 multi carts. They might have an upper limit for the size of the cards you can put in there. But I'm not aware if there is one for the DS.
Yeah, it's like I found some of these. Whenever I take pictures on my camera, instead of buying one large one and leaving pictures on for years, I was always recommended to buy a bunch of little ones and then just write, so-and-so's wedding, or then you have those and you don't lose everything in one.
It's like the modern equivalent of that, a drawer full of rolls of film. Right?
All right.
Different events.
Yeah. So we're going to stick in the memory card, correct?
So, we're either going to put it in the, are you talking about in the computer?
Right? Yeah, into the computer. And we have to, I'm going to share screen here. And we want, where is it here? The home DSi guide, right?
It was like wiki.
Oh, that was the wiki one. Okay.
That one takes you to here. This is kind of where it starts, but the other one was kind of make sure you download these things first, and it had that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that one because I want to make sure everyone sees the whole part of it, just in case. And again, guys, I'm going to throw all the links and in the description. I'm going to have to organize them because I just found them earlier. And I'll get them all step by step and show some pictures, and I'll post it on Facebook and Instagram as well. So let's see here. How did we search for that?
I just did like DSi load Twilight menu was kind of how I searched for it the first time.
And it was wiki. Let me see here.
Okay. Yeah, it's wiki.ds-homebrew.com.
Wiki dot what?
Can I? Is it possible for me to drop it in chat or something? Can I?
Yeah, you can drop it in chat, and then I'll highlight it. I'm trying to type it in here too. Wiki.ds-homebrew.com.
ds-homebrew.com. Then Twilight menu, and then /installing-DSi is the full thing. I'm trying to get myself connected so it'll let me put comments in here.
All right. So I'm going to share it here. Am I on the right one?
Let me take a quick look. Well, there's a sub page to that we're going to get to. Is it letting me?
DS mode hacking. That's Discord.
Oh, I'm good. All right. Here's the URL.
Twilight menu.
No. And then after Twilight menu /installing-DSi. I put a comment in there, but it's saying it's failed to post for some reason. Maybe I don't have permissions.
You should be able to post.
It could be some weird YouTube. I thought it added a credential to the thing, but
are you in? Did you click the comments tab on the right?
Yeah.
And then down, post a comment, and it's not letting you comment?
I posted the comment, I put it in there, and it said, this comment has failed to post to the Intellivision game.
Huh. Try one more time. It might have just been a fluke thing, because it should let you comment. All right, so now I'm clicking it, installing DSi.
Yeah. That's it. Right. We're there. We're fine.
Okay, so installing Twilight menu ++ on DSi. So we are going to download the latest, and we have, let's see what I have here.
Yeah, so you're
Twilight
gonna
menu.
get the latest Twilight menu software.
I'm gonna click it, download it, and we're gonna extract it, copy the underscore NDS folder,
right, to the SD card.
So I'm gonna get the NDS card. Give me 1 second here. Now you guys aren't gonna be able to see me going through the menus. I guess I could do the. I wonder if to work better would be just to show my screen. I've never done that. Let me try it. That might work better because then you can see everything I'm doing. Entire screen. Let's see if that works. Whoa, yeah, that doesn't work. That just kind of
infinite regret.
Yeah, not that one. All right, so I'll just leave it on the website and I'll tell you guys what I'm doing.
I mean, it has a list there, right? It's telling you what to download and what to copy.
Yeah. What to download, what to copy, what to extract. So we're on step 1. We downloaded it. I'm going to go over here into my downloads, and I'm just going to copy it using Control-C, and we're going to put it into the SD card that we're going to put in there. So now I'm going to unzip it. Everyone knows how to unzip.
Let's hope.
Double click and it does it on the Mac. All right, so now we are going to copy the underscore NDS folder and put it. You want to go step by step. Copy the NDS folder into the root, so the main first area of the memory card.
Yeah. So if your memory card is mounting in your computer as drive D or drive E or something, you're just putting it right at /D/ or E/, you know.
All right, so now we're going to copy the boot.nds, and that's in that same folder.
Same top level folder, or non-folder as it were, the root. And then ROMs.
Now, and then copy the ROMs folder.
Yeah, so while you're doing that, so Haya CFW users, that is another bit of this DS homebrew stuff. I don't know anything about it, so they're just saying, like, if you're doing that, copy that over too. At least I think it's part of the homebrew community. It might be. For all I know, it's a popular DS game. I don't know.
And I just threw up the website, and that is it's kind of long, but you can navigate there through the first part. But it's easier if you put it all in. I'll leave that up for a quick second.
Yeah, so while we're looking at that, you see the first subsection there, the second heading or whatever, auto booting with unlaunch. So this is for people who've already got unlaunch installed in some way, and they're just trying to get Twilight Menu++ on. That's not what we have. We haven't modded our DS yet, so we're going to skip past
that. Not at all. Everything that we're starting with today is just a stock DS.
And then below it says, if you have an R4i Ultra. So we talked about this earlier when. Let's see if I can find it again. Jeez. Oh, so there is a community out there that have these little, they're like little multi-carts for your DS. This one I have is a DS2. It's another kind of multi-cart, and you can see that on the back it has a slot there for an SD card, and it's just a multi-cart for your DS. There are other versions of this same idea that are called an R4 card, an R4 thing. Mine's called a DS2, but so that's what they're saying. If you have something like this, you can install software using that technique instead. But we're gonna move past that.
Had to make it over there to show it a little bigger. You were just a tiny little square. All right, so what's next? We've got the NDS folder, we've got the boot NDS, and the ROMs directory on the root of the memory card.
Yep. So we're ready to skip down to past if you have an R4i Ultra to if you don't have an R4i Ultra. That's what we're going to do.
And that's where we're at right here. Create a file or folder called
called primary. So the Twilight menu reads settings from the console's SD card after it starts your flash card. I don't think we did that before, did we?
No, I don't remember this part.
Yeah, it's clearly not necessary. Let me double check. Let me double check mine. See if I did that, because I don't remember that as being an important thing. But basically, if you scroll down, I think you scroll down at the bottom, and it takes you to like the first thing, right? Or is it?
So I'm wondering if we somehow got to a different page.
I'm wondering too. Didn't this have a thing at the bottom, like first step or something? Like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. It's almost like we grabbed the wrong one.
That's kind of strange. Let me
see
take a quick look.
Let me see this other one, because we do. I wonder if we ended up over here on this guide. Let me share this other one here.
You know what? You're right. This is we skipped the top. If you do not already have a way to run Homebrew on your DS, follow this guide. That's where we should have gone right away.
Yeah, because that was for when you already have it.
Now, it turns out a lot of the stuff we just did, you have to do in that guide anyway. So
yeah,
we didn't really have time.
It's not going to hurt anything. So this is where we need to be, right? With the get started and
correct.
So what is Homebrew? Modding my system, and it talks about your DSI backups, ROM hacks, right down here to get started. Correct?
Yep. And this is going to take us to the page you were on earlier, I think.
Yeah, the DSI. That's for the Discord requirements. A way to copy, download files. Prep. So
this prep work is more or less what we just did.
So right here, though, we haven't. Did we download the Twilight? That's what we have on there, and that's what we took.
The other one
we took the NDS and the boot NDS and the ROMs, and then we need to download the latest version of the dump tool.
Yeah, you gotta get dump tool. I mean, you don't have to, but you really want to.
Yeah, you really want to. Dump. Let me see here. Where was that? Dump tool NDS. So I downloaded that.
So people who are a bit astute will probably notice that boot.nds, dumptool.nds, both of these are Nintendo DS ROM images of some kind.
Copy NDS folder, root or hard drive, boot NDS. Copy dump tools to the root. So I'm putting the dump tools in the root. It's just one file, single file.
Right.
And now we're going to section 2, which is selecting an exploit. And this is where you have to look on your DS. What was the next step, Rick?
So there's various ways of triggering an exploit on this. The easiest way by far is this first one in that list called the memory pit. So that's what we did. It exploits a vulnerability in the camera app. So if you can do that one, that's the easiest and best one to do. You may not be able to with your DSI. You may find a DSI that this will not work on, because I guess if the camera is busted in some way, then the camera software won't start up and you can't get to the camera software to do the exploit. You'd have to do some other method. But this is the one I did. This is the one you and I did earlier today, just as a run through. And it's definitely the simplest way to go.
All right, so here we go. Section 1, checking your DSI camera version. Now, this is just stock, right? Powering on your console.
Correct. You could just look at your DSI and go into the camera app and look at see what you see there.
And I'll show you guys what I'm doing here. Let me pause this. Get a bigger screen.
That was big for a minute there.
Yeah. So I'm just at a stock. That's a picture of my daughter. This was one of the ones she used at one point. It's still on there. So this is just a stock DSI right here. We're going to the webcam.
I assume you have no cartridge in it.
No, there's no cartridge.
Right. So it boots up that way.
It's going through features. It's showing me a bunch of stuff about how to do things.
Oh, yeah, you're walking through some kind of little tutorial, maybe.
Yep. Give me 1 second, guys. I don't know why it's doing this.
But yeah, the end result is you need to get into the camera app. And
Yeah.
If it takes you through some first use thing, then you got to go through that.
It was restored, so touchscreen anywhere. I'm not really sure. Was not expecting this. It's like literally showing me all these things about switching and distorting pictures and.
Oh yeah, look at these filters you can do. It's fun.
Yeah, with grainy little pictures. All right, almost done here. Okay, so this one I can already see the little Facebook, but I got to get through this.
Okay.
I don't know why it's giving me all this.
Yeah, so Casey's talking about you're trying to find the version, and the version information can be determined by looking at what comes up when you look at the camera app. Does it have a Facebook icon or not?
Let's try lenses. Finally, so I'm on the last one.
Wow.
It says finally. It shouldn't be here. I can't believe all this stuff. And there's no way to there's no way to skip it. All right, so finally, oh come on. I'll show you real quick here. Let me see that little. It's actually pointing to it. So if you bring up your camera and go in and you see that little Facebook icon, then you are golden, right?
Well, you can do it with the Facebook icon, or if you don't have it, you just need to download a different file.
Okay.
So that's really what we're after. We're like, which one should you get?
So now let's go back to this. Oops, had a stage. All right. So we've got that. Turn the volume down.
So we're gonna pull down a file. And you see right down below there, if you did have a Facebook icon, if you did not, to a file you need to pull.
Inside.
Right there, section 2.
Oh yeah, if you did not have the Facebook icon, you click here. Can you see the little mouse pointer?
Yeah, I did. It disappeared right now, but yeah, there it is. Yep.
By moving. So if you did not have one, so we did, so we're clicking this.
Yep.
And we are downloading it. So I am going to open it up, which you won't be able to see that. It's a pit.bin. So I am copying pit.bin from my downloads. And where does it say?
Well, you're going to navigate into your.
This is where we had to put in the memory card to create the file.
Right. So it may be the case that, well, since you went through that whole tutorial, odds are very good there's nothing on there, right? Plus, it's a fresh memory stick, right? So
yeah,
you need to put the SD card in there and then go back into the camera again.
So I just ejected the memory card from my computer. Let me go back this way. So now the stuff we put on there, we have to stick it into the DSI on the side, the SD card slot. If I can get it open. And then what we have to do is we're opening this up to create that folder, right, Rick?
Yeah, so we stick that SD card in there. We're going to fire up that camera app again, and we're going to tell the camera app, hey, I want to take pictures, and I want to store them on this SD card. And when you do that, the camera app is going to write a directory area. It's going to write some stuff to the SD card. That's what we need it to do.
So right here, I clicked SD card, and then it had a screen come up, and it basically put a folder on the memory card, and that's what we need to go to the next step. So I believe now we just turn it off and take it back out, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And again, there are a few steps and back and forth with the memory card, but once you get this done, it is really cool. So put that back down, put the memory card back in the reader. Let me bring back this. All right. So now,
from a high level, what we're doing is we're putting a specific like poison file into the camera app's storage area, so that when we next run the camera app, it'll see this poison file and it'll give us control of the DS. So,
and again, what we're looking for is the pit.bin, just to make sure I got it copied, and we want it in the SD private, which now I think I can do. Let me share this. I can go back and forth on this one. That way people can at least see some of it.
Sure.
The window right here. So now you can see what we're doing here. This is the memory card that we're working on. We've installed the other things that we've talked about. And what we just did, whenever we clicked on the SD card in the photo app, it created this private. So now we go to DS, the app, and that folder. And we have to rename this one because we're going to replace it. So it says tip, right? Is that what it said? I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
But
I don't think
so
it matters.
you rename that one. So there is pit.bin.
Yeah, and so the pit.bin that he put on there is the one we downloaded. It's a sort of like I said, it's kind of a poison version.
So now I got to go back to the other website. All right, so just wanted to show you what that memory card was looking like at this point. So now we put that in the root. We put that in there, does not exist. Inside the pit.bin, that's all the stuff we just did. Now we are going to section 3, launching the exploit.
Yep.
So now we need to take the memory card back that we put that information on, put it back in the DSI and restart it.
Yep.
So I am ejecting it again, putting it back in the DS. Let's see if I can. I'm looking at websites. I can't even see if I'm showing. Turn it back on. All right. So now where are we at? What are we doing? What's the next step?
Now I'm going to turn the DSI on and then launch the camera again.
Okay, launching the camera.
And if I get to it, you're going to click on the SD card icon in the top right, which is what you kind of did before.
Let me see.
Yep.
Get the back over here.
Pretty much the same screen as before when we clicked on it before to write the file. Now we're going to pick SD card again.
Clicking SD card.
And I think it's going to go flashy flash, right?
Yep. So it goes flashy flash. You open the folder and there's one in there because we put one. And now this is the first thing of what you want to see. Let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger there. I got to do the stop screen. So here is what you're looking at. And there's a few options. You can set language. It's all set for us. If you speak English, it's already there. And you press at the bottom, it'll say press A to proceed. And then you get to select your region. I'm selecting USA. It's doing a little boot.
Yep. And that'll be the new boot screen, by the way, what you're seeing there.
And now we are in Twilight menu.
Right. And so what we've done is we've booted the DS into a different UI, a different OS of sorts. It's displaying the computer that is the DS now is presenting a different interface. So that's good. That's the exploit basically. And
show you all the different folders that we've created on that, the Twilight menu, and then eventually there's a ROMs folder in there as well. Now let me bring this back up. What was the next step?
So at this point, we've basically done the main thing. We've proven that we can boot into this thing, right? So we're going to want to go further and make some things a little more automatic, because as it stands right now, you could play games and do neat stuff, but every time you turn your DS off, when you boot it back up again, you'd land in a DS and you'd have to go into the camera app, click the thing, and then that'd be your way
Do it
into
all
this
over again.
Right. So what we want to do is do something to make that permanent. Because making that semi-permanent, potentially, if something goes horribly wrong, can cause an issue, we're going to do the safety thing first. So that has us dumping the NAND step, which is why we put the dump tool on there.
Yeah, you can follow it right here, dumping NAND. Click it, and we'll move on to the next part. That's the S cord. Make sure you have plenty of space.
This is all the stuff we already did. We already put the dump tool on there.
Yep, because we jumped ahead. We had this part up first.
Yeah.
So we've got the dump tool.
All you're going to do is go into that Twilight menu interface where you were and just run dump tool.
So I'll show you right here. So right now we would click here. If you can see it, is it showing up?
Yep.
Dump tool, and you would get it from your downloads folder, and you would put it on your SD card, and it says anywhere. I just did it to the root directory, and whenever I gotta move this. Whenever you come up, it'll look just like that. Dump tool, Zugi dump, DSI NAND, and we're gonna start that. We're gonna push A to start it, and then it's kind of going into some settings here. Press A to begin NAND dump, and press start to exit. Now, this is where we should have did the little gameplay, because this takes a few minutes. What is this, like 6 minutes?
Yeah, it's at 5 or 7 or so. So what it's basically doing is it's dumping information that's in the NAND, memory of your DS, so that if something gets horribly bricked, you can go back in here and restore that and try again. So it's a decent thing to do, but you don't necessarily have to have that backup data sitting there on the SD card going forward after this. It's all, this is all just safety.
It is recommended, though. It's nice to have that. It just takes a few minutes and a few more steps, and then you have it.
Yeah, I've never done anything with it. Like I backed mine up, of course, and I've never actually ran into an issue that required me to restore it. So I have it. Great. I don't know. So
it's going to take a few minutes. I don't know if we can. I really don't want to show off a finished product yet. I want to get there.
It's going to be worth the wait, right? It's going to be worth the wait.
Yes, it's really cool, guys. If you haven't seen it, it's really cool. I've been wanting to do this for quite some time. I'm actually going to start buying some DSIs on eBay and performing this. And there's a few people that have asked me to do one once I learn. So I need to do a few for people not selling. I don't have time, but I'm going to do a few of them. We're at about 28%. It does take about 5-6 minutes, something like that, to do the backup. We can go ahead and catch up on chat too. What are you guys thinking so far? Are you somewhat able to follow it? Again, we're going to put all the links in the description. And if you comment on the video, if you get stuck, I can help you out, hopefully. And if I can't, I will message Rick.
Sure, I suppose. I mean, honestly, my experience is not that wide. I've done it to mine, and I've been using it as a gaming thing for some time. But I know how to read these techie things.
Michael says, I have fond memories of the DSI, WarioWare, DIY, and Art Style Base 10. I didn't like handhelds a lot until my Switch. We have a lot of Switches. Everyone in the house has one of their own, and then we have 2 of the consoles. I had a few of them, and obviously we bought these DSIs. We have like 5 of them in the house, maybe 6, but that was well after they were gone, and we were just picking them up, fairly cheap from people. And then when I found out about this, I'm like, man, I'm glad I have all these. And they've just been sitting up here in the game room for quite some time. And now I'm finally going to be putting them to use. I'm going to be taking one of these to work and playing Intellivision games on breaks and stuff, on trips. Be able to play Intellivision games on the go. Now, this will work what the same setup will work with a 3DS as well. I wonder how much different, is it the same pretty much setup, or is it a little different when you have a 3DS?
So I've never walked through the exploit on the 3DS, but once you've done the exploit, whatever it is, the software experience is kind of the same. You put it on an SD card, you do whatever. I just don't know if it's
so the exploit could be different on the 3DS.
Yeah. It might be. I don't know.
3DS adds the thumbstick. It has a higher resolution. The consoles are going to be a little nicer. They're not near as old. I can't even remember what year the DSIs came out, but they've been out for quite some time.
Yeah.
So you mentioned to me earlier that, because I didn't know it, there are replacement batteries. So if you have a console, there is a little port right here, wrong side.
Yeah.
You can take that off and you can replace the batteries, and they have them on Amazon. Do you remember about how much they were?
$20 or less. It wasn't much.
Or less. So if you have one and the battery's not holding up, just throw a new battery in it. You can pick these things up cheap. I was seeing go ahead.
I bought this on eBay whenever I bought it, and just turned around immediately and bought a new battery for it because I thought, I don't know the condition of that battery, of course, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the process might be a little different, but they do have it working on the 3DS. Unfortunately, I don't have a 3DS. Maybe it'll be worth doing. I can do another video on it at a later point, but I do plan on buying a 3DS to convert it to play Intellivision games. I just want to see it done because some people might not have a DSi. They might want to do this on their 3DS. I want to figure that out as well. And I think I like the idea of the thumbstick.
My older son has a 3DS that I got him for Christmas a couple or 3 years ago. I don't know when, but he never plays it. And I was like, hey, maybe I can get this and do a mod on it. He goes, no, I'm not going to let you.
Now, there was a way you can boot to the regular version and play your game still too, right?
Yeah, so once this NAND backup is done, we're going to install another program that's sort of like a bootloader. It allows you to decide how you want the system to boot. Do you want to boot in a Twilight menu? Do you want to boot to the cartridge slot? Do you want to boot to the old UI? It has those kind of options. So, and then you can also set up a shortcut. So you can set up a shortcut so that when you power it on, if you're holding down like the A button, you can tell it, when I hold the A button while I'm powering on, I want you to do this. If I'm holding down the B button, I want you to do that. So it has these little settings you can tweak it to boot different things, and you could definitely run standard cards after you do this.
Do you know an answer to this? I'm not sure if there's certain models. I know there are 3DSs that it works on. That's so the extent of
my understanding is all of these models are bootable this way, or hackable this way. Again, it may be at different steps, but that they can all do this. And according to Dave, the guy who did the Intellivision emulator, he says that all that hardware more or less runs because the 3DS has a DS compatibility layer in it. So,
Mike's Gaming Gala, what's going on, Mike?
Hey, Mike.
So here we go. It is done. Press start to exit.
Yeah. So at this point, it has written a backup of that NAND data to the SD card. You can then take your SD card out, take that backup and do something, set it aside somewhere. It doesn't have to stay on the SD card anymore. It's just backup, so it's a nice thing to have. But
okay, so now continuing installing unlaunch.
That's what we want to do next. So there's this thing I was describing that's kind of like a boot launcher kind of thing, or a bootloader, different bootloader thingy. That's called unlaunch. So we want to install unlaunch.
It's a lot of fun to play him on here. I've only tried one game, but man, I'm looking forward to loading it up and trying all of them. I'll be playing a lot more Intellivision games, having something on the go. I can tell you that. Cyrus says, I'm asking because I own a new 3DS XL with a ton of retail games, but recently my daughter gave me her new 3DS XL that I could possibly hack. And you can always take this off. You can remove it and put it back to normal, correct?
You can't. I know that's true of these. I'm pretty sure it's true of all of them. Yeah. So that's my understanding. The guy who wrote the Intellivision emulator, I think he does test it a little bit on the 3DS, but like his main workhorse is the DSi. That's where he really likes to play on and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so now we are to installing the unlaunch. We're gonna go to. Oh, I'm sitting here speaking to something that you guys are not seeing.
There you go.
So here we go. Section 1, SD card setup. Download it, the latest version of Unlaunch. You click it, get it out of your downloads. Let me grab it here a second. Unlaunch. There it is.
Put it on your card. I put it in the root directory of mine. You know. So
extract
again,
it anywhere on the SD card. Like he said, we put it on in the root directory. So again, I need to turn off the DSi, take the memory card out again, put it back into the computer so we can do this part of it.
Yeah, and so just again for the high level picture, what's happening now, we have correctly formatted an SD card so that we can exploit this thing and boot it a different way. If we want the thing to boot up normal, like to this modded environment all the time, that's the step we're doing now, is to make that happen.
So here's a really good question, and he's going to like the answer.
Yeah. So this emulator does run all of these games that I'm aware of. Let me double check if I have a ROM for Anthropomorphic Force. Let me see.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I only have so much time in the day, so being able to take this on the go and playing all these Intellivision games that I want to play and haven't been able to get to, I'm going to get through so many more games this way.
Yeah, so Super Mega Graphics 64, at the beginning, it has JLP support. Basically, it has which was something. There's been a lot of development in this emulator over the last 6 months to a year.
Highly supported.
I want to say I have AF on here. Let me double check that.
Once you guys get a hold of one of these fully loaded and start playing it, you're gonna love the thing.
I do not have AF on mine. I can load that up while we're doing this and just double check that specific game. But the intent is, like I said at the beginning, I'll say it again now since folks are coming in and out, that the author of this emulator has been doing a lot of support on it. And at this point, he's kind of like, I expect it to run everything. Like, let me know if you find something that doesn't run, and I'll take a look at it. So it's at that point, at this stage of it.
Okay, so here we are with the SD card back in the computer, and we are copying unlaunch zip. And let me go back to this. Where am I? Place it anywhere on your SD card. So I got to extract it here. Now, once I do that, I can delete the zip file, correct? We don't need that.
Correct. I can't try Anthropomorphic Force. I don't have an unencrypted version of that. The one I have is for my LTO flash.
Okay. I'll be able to try a lot of Homebrew games. Any ROM that's been available, I have purchased. So believe me, now that I have one of these, I'm going to work on fully loading it, and I'll work on a complete list of games that work and games that do not. So now we have unlaunched DSi there.
Anthropomorphic Force is on my list to get. I just haven't bought the.
It's a fun game.
Yeah. I mean, I have the Luigi of it, right? So I can play it on the system.
So this will play a lot of other stuff as well. Like I said, we're just touching on the Intellivision side of it. Michael says DS is perfect for it because you have the number pad right there. Yes, that touch screen, it works great, as you'll see.
Yep.
It fixes the problem with other emulation with all the different buttons. Tough game, but man, it's good. That's another one I really want to get into. All right, so let me get back into here.
I'm not playing it much yet. I could get a ROM for the DS.
Okay, so we put it in there, select no button. So now we need, I forgot what we were doing. Now I need to go back to the DS, right?
Yeah, we need to actually install the unlaunch.
Okay. So I'm going to eject.
I'm trying to think of like what's the I'm going to find here. I'll pop this one up. I mean, I'm kind of, should I not jump to the end here? People were asking if it could run these newer homebrews, but like, so here's Dragon Quest.
Dragon Quest. Look at that, guys. How cool is that?
Here, let's see if this works. I'll try my camera setup here. It didn't want to work earlier. Whoops.
Oh, he just locked up. He'll come right back. This happened earlier in the testing. Yes, Dragon's Quest. Even though I don't play RPGs all the time, I do get in and play it a little bit. The game is just amazing. And if you like RPGs, you just have to buy it. Rick will be right back here. Give him a minute. So now I've booted back up. I have the memory card in, and I'm pretty sure, let me share this. I'm pretty sure we're going to go run that file. Turn on your DS while holding the A and B button. Oh, I forgot that part. We'll let Rick get back in here for a second. There he is. There he is.
Yeah, you don't want to do that yet. That's that's if you have unlaunch already, you can go in and do this. Yeah. So we're going to go into, you're going to have to go into the DS. It's going to go back into a normal DS. You're going to have to go into the camera app, click the SD to get it to boot into the Twilight menu, and then we'll run unlaunch from there.
Okay. So I'm back into the camera, and let me go back and I'll show you guys this stuff. So I'm going to go back to the SD card that you see right there. It's going to do like a flicky flick.
And because we have a poisoned version of the camera app in there, it'll boot into this instead. And earlier today we tested with both of my cameras, and I got a camera right over here set up pointing down at my DS on my desk. It was going to be great, but man, it is not cooperating.
Yeah, basically he was going to be able to hold it up like this and a straight down shot and be able to show you guys some stuff. Okay, so I am up now. What am I doing?
So you're going to look for unlaunch install, something like that.
And I open it, correct?
Yeah, just run it. Yep. And then it brings you to this screen. You remember the screen with the ladies?
Yeah.
It's the same picture on both. It's a masthead or whatever on a prow of a ship there.
So it tells you how to install, how to use, how it works, power down, uninstall. So we need to go to install now, correct?
Yeah, I think that's what we're doing. Let me double check the guide.
I was pretty sure that's what we did.
Yeah, I'm remembering. Yeah.
So installation complete.
Okay. Now, basically, what that did was it installed something to the NAND image in the DS, so that now the DS will default to trying to boot from the SD card, so we don't have to go through the camera app every time anymore.
Okay, so now what is next? Oops.
So the only thing that's left now, if I remember right, when we were doing this earlier, was we might have to go into the properties of unlaunch, and we want to tell unlaunch, hey, when I boot my DS and I'm not pressing any buttons, I want you to go right into Twilight menu.
Okay. So I get out of this?
You might have to reboot once. I can't remember now. Because what'll happen is it should boot, and it'll either come to whatever it thinks is the current default.
Here we go. So it comes. Let me move this
Yeah.
over. Stop sharing. It comes to a different kind of a screen right now. What we installed last time, and now we rebooted. It has no cartridge, Wi-Fi, options, launcher, system settings, a bunch of other stuff.
So there's a lot of tweaking you can do in this app, and I know this much of it, just barely. So I think we want to go to options because, like I say, what we want to do is we want to tell the unlauncher that when I boot my thing from now on, I want. Yeah, so it says there's you can see there's a list there. No button, button A, button B, button X, button Y, and so on. So that's what you're saying. What the software is presenting to you. What do you want me to do when you boot the thing and no buttons are pressed? What do you want me to do when you boot the thing and the A button is pressed? You know, that kind of thing. So you can tie different things to it. We want to set it up so that when there's no buttons pressed, it lands in Twilight Menu ++ instead of the regular DS.
So what I'm doing is this first option menu, no button, file name.
No button.
You can either push to the right or push A, and then you. I did that wrong. Push A button. Oh, maybe not. No change, file menu. What am I doing here? I'm seeing a different. No button setting. I don't know why I'm getting that.
I remember earlier we had to set it, and then you had to have there was a save you had to do, if I remember right.
Yeah, but I'm not
and for
option.
For people watching along, I did all this more than like a year and a half ago, so I forget.
Okay. I thought it was backing me back out, so I clicked the A on it, and then I have to go down to Twilight menu, click A. So now, what you see right here when it says no button, it's pointing to Twilight. It's telling you to boot into Twilight, and then you go down to save, which is the bottom one, save and exit.
Save and exit, yeah.
And then do I turn it off and back on again? I can't remember what it was.
Well, at some point you want to turn it off and boot it up to verify that it's coming into the right.
Okay, so I am going to turn it off. Back on.
Let's see
and it should boot in.
And that's it. It's going to come up like that. Touch the touch screen, and it'll come into Twilight menu.
Right into Twilight menu.
And so Twilight menu as the UI, if you will, presents on that lower screen, just a list of folders and files that are on the SD card. And so you're going to navigate the file system with that to go find the game you want to launch or whatever.
So now is where we load.
We want to load some games on there.
Well, we have to put the exec.bin, the grom.bin, and if you're going to run, ECS games or IntelliVoice games, you have to have those. I'm going to copy those. You can find them in different places. The Intellivision Lives CDs and the different ones for the computer might have them.
You also probably at this point want to go get the latest version of INTV-DS.
Oh yes,
the emulator itself, because so we just loaded on there the Twilight menu package, and that Twilight menu package includes a lot of different emulators for various systems, one of which is Intellivision. But whoever, I don't know when they put that package together. What was the latest time they made a new release of Twilight Menu ++? And you hope at that time they got the latest Intellivision emulator to put into it, but maybe they didn't, or maybe the guy Dave who created the Intellivision emulator, maybe he's put out a release or two since then. So you want to go get that and put that onto the SD card as the latest version of the emulator, because you'll be running the best stuff.
All right, so I'm going to put you back on the share screen for the SD card so you guys can see a little bit more of that. So this is what our SD card looks like now. And we have the ROMs folder here. And I don't think I moved the Intellivision.
There should be an INTV under ROMs.
We just created it.
Yeah. You want to call it INTV just because the Nintendo emulator assumes that name and it's just easier, you know. So in here, you want to put, like you said, the exact. There you go. And then
So
any game,
the exact, the ECS, the Grom.bin, and the IntelliVoice. And now one other thing we need to put in here is at least a game to try.
Sure.
Let me see here. And one overlay. Let me find it here. I just have a couple to show for now. Where did I put them? Here we go. Copy those. So now we're going to add a few here. I thought we were. Oh. I am on the StreamYard window. That will not work.
No, I'm sure it will not.
Okay, let me pop it back up here. I'm like, why is it not? All right.
Too many windows, and they all look the same.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same. It's a copy of it. So now we have Pinball, Cloudy Mountain, and we have this thing called .ovl, which is an overlay. And we're going to show you what those do. First, we have to get that. That goes into a different folder. So yeah, we're going to copy it.
Oh, no, because underneath it. So
yeah,
right there.
In the INTV folder, we're going to make a new folder and call it OVL, right?
Correct. Just OVL. And then move the OVL file into that. And again, this is configurable in the Intellivision emulator. These are just the defaults. This is just where it looks for it immediately. So everything will just start working if you do it this way. And for people who are looking at this, the Twilight Menu ++, it knows it has all these different extensions that it knows are different emulators. So for example, the Atari 2600, if it sees an A26 file, it assumes it's an Atari game. An A52 file, it assumes it's a 5200 game, and so on. For the Intellivision, it wants to see INT. And but the INT is just a bin file. So it's easier. Now, by the way, the Intellivision emulator for the DS will read ROM files. If you want to use ROM files, that's totally fine. But if you want to have a seamless experience within the launcher, name your file, you put bin configs in there, and rename the bin to a .int, and then things will be smooth. That's what I've done with all of my games. I rename them with .int extensions.
Okay, so now that we put all those, the GROM and the exec and the iVoice and the ECS.
Did you want to put the latest version of the emulator on there while we're at it?
I almost forgot about that. So it will work, but we'll tell you here in a second. Like he said, whenever they make the package, it's whatever version of the emulator that they had when they did the package. They do updates a lot more frequently. So we download the new one, and where's that? Intellivision. This is Intellivision, right? Yeah. The INTV. So let me share that. I'll show you guys what that one looks like. And that's from here, correct?
Correct. So he puts out new versions of this decently often. So you go to the main subdirectory there, and so you can see that one there is version 5.0a. So you can download that. Yep.
Download it.
And it is NINTV-DS.NDS, right?
So now I am going to go find it in my downloads, NINTV-DS.NDS. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to replace it.
I'm going to go back to the SD card. You got to go find. You want to find the version that the Twilight Menu guys put in there, and then replace it, right?
Yep. So Twilight Menu.
No. You're in the zip file.
I'm in the zip file.
I think you are. You want to go ND? I think you want to go under underbar NDS. Then Twilight Menu.
Twilight Menu.
Then emulators.
Emulators. Aha, there.
And then so you can see it sitting there, NINTV-DS.NDS, we're going to replace that file with this one we just downloaded.
So we're just going to paste it in, let it replace it. And now we have the new version. And you can see some of the others. If Cyrus is still in here, TurboGrafx. There's another option. I'm going to try that one as well.
I haven't tried the TurboGrafx one at all. I've tried Atari and ColecoVision and some of the other ones, but...
All right, so now I'm going to eject the card yet again.
Back to the DS.
Back to the DS. All this is worth it in the end. It is so cool. We're going to turn it back on. Let me get back on the screen here. Now we've got the menu here, and then it'll come up. Oh, yeah, he's still here. TurboGrafx, he says, oh, yeah.
Okay, so you're up at that root level. So you're looking, what you want to look for is the ROMs directory, because that's where we're going. So
now all the stuff we have on the folder is there. And right there, you see ROMs. And then you're going to click A.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can take out the folders of the stuff you're not going to use. Right now, they're all still in there. So I'm just going to go over until I get to Intellivision. I'm going to press A. And then I'm going to scroll over. And there is AD&D Cloudy Mountain. And there, too far. There is Pinball. So now this is going to work, right?
Should work. Let's hope.
So for a split second, you saw the original screen on the bottom. So this one has a custom overlay. Now, what will come up if you don't have an overlay? On the side here, you'll have different buttons like, I don't even know what they all are, Rick. Reset, exit, all the different things.
Menu.
And then you'll have the Intellivision keypad right here. So you can just push the button. Custom overlays are really cool because you see things like this.
If you hop out of this and go to for a pinball, it'll show you that other one, right?
Okay.
Just hit the power button. It'll exit the emulator.
Exit this menu. Oh no.
Well, you're wanting to leave the emulator, so you can just hit the power button. So here's.
Hit the power button goes out.
Yeah. So if you're here, you can hit the power button. And it'll drop you back out to the menu.
Okay. So what I just did trying to learn the menu is I hit menu, exit emulator, but the power button's much easier and quicker. So now we're going to go over and show you Pinball to show you what it looks like whenever you don't have an overlay.
Yeah.
So there you got reset, load, config, scores, state, menu, and you have a picture of the keypad. And anything you push in the games is just like pushing the controller.
Right.
So let's 1 or 2 players. I don't even know the buttons here.
Yeah, I think of the side buttons, so it's probably not going to be a great pinball experience, quite frankly, because you'd really like to have it to be the triggers, right?
Oh yeah, the trigger, the shoulder buttons back here. That would be perfect. Can you configure that?
I think you can map that. Yeah. Because you can go into, so we can try it. Hit the config there.
Config, and then you see.
And so you can see it says A button, B button, X, Y, L, and R. You can go down there and maybe you could. I forget. I think it's the 2 lower buttons.
So A and B are the lower buttons, and they say fire, fire. X and Y are the upper 2, and it says right action, left action. So I guess we should try it real quick before we remap them.
Sure. I was just saying, I'm pretty sure in pinball, the flippers are done by like almost any keypad button down the left and right, or the 2 side lower buttons.
They're both doing the flippers. So the top buttons and the left buttons are both doing the flippers. So I'm on A, B.
Okay, so that's probably the top button.
X, Y, flippers.
Yeah. So what I was saying was, what I think in the original pinball game, when you hold the controller, the lower left and lower right are the 2 individual flippers.
Oh yeah.
So you could map those buttons to the triggers on the back, and you'd have a pretty decent pinball experience, probably.
Okay, so I was not really paying attention trying to do it this way. The bottom buttons do all flippers. The top buttons let you do just left or right.
Yeah.
So if we're going to do the shoulder buttons, we're going to want to do just left or right, which is X and Y.
Which I think, again, are left action, right action. So, yeah. Yeah.
So Y button, we're going to go...
No. Go down to left L button, and set that to L act, and R button to R act.
L button.
Instead of whatever they are.
R act. And either one will work, right?
Well, one is one and one is the other, right?
Y would be...
I'm going to find a pinball on mine.
Y would be left. R button would be right. And then we have to save, so we have to hit start. And then B gets out. So now you'll see when I push these shoulder buttons, they're just the different sides. So now you can be playing pinball and use the shoulder buttons left and right. That's a much better way to play pinball than the regular A, B, X, Y. So it's all working there. Very, very cool.
And then so the trick with the overlays. So I thought someone had put into the chat earlier, I hope there's a set of overlays. I hope there's a set of overlays, for all of the 125 and for some of the freebie homebrews and stuff. So there are about 70 overlays made so far.
Sweet.
So what he's done with this emulator is he's created if you bring up a Cloudy Mountain again, that overlay is not just a picture of the original overlay, right? Because it's wider,
custom,
right? And it's custom to that screen. And so he has created his own custom file format for defining these overlays. And people have been creating new overlays for the various games. So Cloudy Mountain's a great example. So he's reconfigured what normally goes on the overlay so that it fits that wider screen better, and it's just a lot easier to use. So the community at large has not created every overlay for every 125 game yet, but there are a lot out there. And at the GitHub page you went to download the latest version of the emulator has a file there called extras.zip that has all these overlay files in it.
We can bring that up real quick. Let me get back to here.
And the guy who made the emulator is active in the community. He's active on Atari Age. If you've got a favorite game that doesn't have an emulator for it yet, and you drop a thing in there and you're like, hey, I would really love to see an overlay for this. He's got, I guess, 2 or 3 helpers now that know how to do this. People are making overlay files for this emulator to just make this better.
So this is where the INTV-DS, and right here are the extras. And here is the overlays folder.
Yeah, so you're seeing that's the generic set that you get when you just download it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go up 2 layers, all the way up to Intellivision.zip there, up
again.
Yeah. So in this file, you could see there's extras.zip that's down in the file listing.
Yeah, right here. Okay.
That one is the basic. That's the overlays pack that has a bunch of stuff in it.
Okay, let's download that and then open it up.
Get a look at it. Now, the trick here, of course, is you need to name the overlay file the exact same file name as the ROM so that it knows how to tie them together. And I tend to name my games a little bit differently than maybe the next guy and whatever. So you just have to keep that in mind when you're installing them. Make sure you're naming everything the same.
So whatever your ROM is in your folder, name that the same.
Yeah. So the .bin, the .int, the .config, and the .ovl file should all have the same base name so that it knows what you're doing.
I need to get to a spot where I can dump this and open it. I was opening it on the SD card, but that is in the DS. Okay, so now I'll share this and show you guys the contents of that. Here we go.
So, yeah, go into, well, I'm not remembering. Is it in overlay library or overlays? I forget. But all right, go
overlay
up.
Library. That's
overlay library must be the
library.
Yeah, there you go.
So
yeah. So what he has is the overlays themselves. Yeah, like pick the Cloudy Mountain one and bring it up large.
Okay, it's going to take me 1 second because I have to reshare it.
Right. So this is getting into the weeds, and nobody cares probably. But what you have to define in your file is the graphic you want, and then he has some space down below for you to. You could like add a custom font for stuff like for in the UI. So he has all that down in there. And this file then gets processed by a tool that will create the .ovl file. This file, along with some information, because like this file is not enough, right? You need to know that when I hit pickup, it maps to the enter key. You need to know that, or if it was 0 or clear, I forget. Exit maps to 0 or whatever it is. So you have to like have information about the regions in this file, in this image, and what they map to controller-wise to make that work. And they don't even have to be like this. This is a 4x3 grid. It doesn't have to be like that. Go to, I think maybe Astra Smash might be a good example.
Okay.
Of one. I know you got to juggle
here. I'll pop it up.
I think Astra Smash is one of the more free floaty ones. Or maybe
it looks just like a square. I'm bringing it up now.
Yeah. So, although that one's not quite getting to what I was getting at, but like, it's only highlighting the stuff that was on the overlay, of course. I think maybe Pac-Man. Let me take a look at one of mine. Like, I'm making you poke around.
Look at them. We should be able to see them fairly well without before we open them. Let me share this.
Yeah.
I wonder how if I can do larger icons. That would be. I don't know how to do that on here. How do you do that on the Mac? How do I see the larger icons? View.
There is a
list icons. That would be a little helpful right now.
Sorry, I'm not. I get them the way I want them, and I never think about it again.
Yeah, icon size. Here we go. So now I'll be able to move around. We can maybe see them fairly well. Got to remember how to put that back later. So now I'm going to share this, and I've got them where we could probably see them.
Okay. The point I'm wanting to make is that something like.
Well, here's some homebrews: Astro Invaders, The Tail of Dragons and Swords.
Bank Panic's in there. B-17 Bomber. Trying to think of a. Okay. Bump and Jump's a good example. You pop up that PNG for Bump and Jump.
All right, give me 1 second. It's going to be almost the same size as where we're at now.
Yeah.
Let me see. How did I do that? I cheat, zoom in. I don't even know how I did it. I'll just open it that way. I just learned how I'm going to go through different pictures for the same thing. I'm just going to put them like that, and then just scroll around will be easier.
Sure.
Figure out a good way and not the start, stop.
Yeah.
So there you go.
What I was going to make though is, so in Bump and Jump, he's got some art on the right half of it, but then you see the 1, 2, and the enter are on the left half there. That's not lining up in that 4:3 grid, right? They're just somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So this format for this file allows you to specify where you put the thing in the image and what it maps to in the controller. It doesn't necessarily have to be in that grid layout kind of thing. So they can make some overlays that have maybe some more style to them, or maybe big fat buttons. So it's real easy, because if it's only got 2 or 3 options, maybe make them really big and fat on the overlay so you can punch them real quick in the game.
Yeah, that would be helpful. You won't miss as easy.
Right. So because it's just a screen, right? There's no physical switches underneath it.
Yeah, it's not a button. There. You can map it to whatever you want, right?
Right.
Let's go.
So
check a few more of these real quick.
When people make these overlay files, they're applying that kind of design element to it. But at the very least, you're hoping they're gonna expose the functionality.
Burger Time.
Yeah, Burger Time's mainly art, right? All you need is the
boy, talk about art. Look at the Buzz Bombers.
Yeah, same thing with Buzz Bombers, right? It's just a fun thing to have on there.
Commando. There's something a little different. One player, standard difficulty. It gives you a little more details.
Right. So there's a lot. Oh, look at Chip Shot. Wow, man, look at all that.
Yeah. So we do a bowling league, and we're about done. And when we're done with the bowling league, we're moving to Chip Shot Golf. So that's interesting right there. I like that.
Yeah.
Tennis, Demon Attack, Go Sub. We can look at 2 in a row. Dragonfire, Happy Trail, Dragon Quest. Oh, look at that.
These
talk, stairs, item, spell, take, door. Just push that button. No scrolling around with your thumb.
Right.
Just push the button when you want to do something.
Yeah. So again, these PNG files are like an input to the process that creates that OVL. And once you have the OVL, you're rocking and rolling. So
now you had mentioned when we were talking earlier today, these are very hard to actually make.
Well, I found it a little daunting. It uses a specific tool. I was trying to do it on a Mac, and then I tried it on Linux, and I got something close, but it wasn't right. I think if you've got a Windows computer and you have the exact tool, like he gives you a freeware tool to use, but you have to like create the original image in a certain bits per pixel, formats. And I kind of goofed that up. I didn't quite get it right. But he told me in some Atari Age chat back and forth at some point, he was telling me that he has 2 or 3 guys now that have proven out how to do this on their computers, and they're excited about making overlays, and so we're getting more of them made. But it's a crowd development kind of thing. It's not like anybody's on the hook to put them out.
It's such a cool way to play Intellivision games when you got the touchscreen with custom overlays, and you can do it on the go anywhere you want. I mean, I've wanted this for so long. I'm so excited. Now in all my free time I don't have, I'm going to be working on this, populating it, getting the overlays, getting them all named right, setting it up. I think it'd be cool to have one. Like, I'm going to have a lot of these. I'll have to bring one like the PRGE, and like whenever we have the console set up, I think that would be cool to have one of these set there for people to try.
Certainly.
And just cool thing for the booth.
So we mentioned this, that there are other emulators on there. One of the other side effects of installing this Twilight Menu ++ on there and using that as the boot environment is you can actually download NDS ROMs of NDS carts, put them on the SD card, and just play them there. So you don't, you can actually, you're like at this point, I never did have a big ROMs or big carts collection for my DS. But like, I don't need to pull them out anymore. If there's a game I really want to play, I go find the ROM, download it, put it on my SD card, and I can still play DS games on here. And I showed this to you earlier. I'll show it on the screen here. In my DS, I actually got an Etsy seller to sell me this 3D
Let me make
printed.
that screen bigger here. Oops.
Okay.
1 second. There we go.
This is a 3D printed cartridge that doesn't have anything in it. It's just plastic, right? And for a DS. And so I just put that into my DS, and it just kind of covers the hole there. So I'm not going to get dirt and dust and crap in
now,
there.
You can just leave a regular game in there. It won't hurt anything either, right?
True. I mean, yes and no. Like, it won't hurt anything in terms of the system or whatever. Not any worse than like if you left a cart in and left it in the drawer, right? It's obviously no worse than that. I've always been kind of on the side of don't leave your carts in the systems, because you have these pins that are pushing against it, and they're going to eventually fatigue and they won't grab anymore.
Yeah.
But then the argument is, if you keep exercising them, putting carts in and out, is that any better? Like,
hard to say. Take two of them and do one way and one the other way, and let us know in a few months.
Yeah, or years. Right.
So I want to show just a little bit of gameplay. I don't think I did that yet. Let me switch back over. I don't know if I can play. Now, there's one thing we didn't do. Go into the config. I should have had my top-down view. I didn't even think about it. Game config. And then same as we did with pinball, you can set different buttons. Now, what was it that we set? Because you had me do this and I forgot.
So if you're going to play Cloudy Mountain, you'd really like to have the A, B, X, Y be firing in the 4 directions with your arrows, right? Instead of reaching to that touch screen for the arrow. So you'll go in there and you're going to configure the what was it? You're going to configure the X button to be keypad number 2.
So the X button changes to keypad 2?
Right. And then set the A button to keypad 4. And the B button would be keypad 8. And the Y button would be keypad 4. No. Yeah, 4. I'm sorry. A, you want 6. I said 4. I meant A should be 6. You're just getting this 4.
So Y is 4, A is 6.
X is 2, B is 8.
Is that it?
And then down below it had A, B. It had A and B, X and A, Y and X. So set those as well. So set X plus A. You're going to set that to keypad 3. Set AB to 9. Set
AB to 9. AB to 9.
AB should not. It should be 9. Yeah.
We're doing the diagonals, right?
Yeah. So BY would be 7, and XY would be 1. And so that'll get you the 8 directions from those 4 buttons.
So what I'm doing here is just going down to each one of those and clicking left and right and changing what they do. There's so many options. You can set all this, sit here and play with it and get it exactly how you want it to play the games you're playing. But make sure you hit start and that saves it. And then B goes back out. So now...
And so I would also, just as an aside for folks who know, you can't move around and you can't move around and shoot at the same time with the controller on this game unless you use the second controller. This emulator has a feature for that. You go in there in that config, and down below you pick dual action A for your controller type. And what it'll do is it'll map it'll do the split controller configuration. Yeah.
Can you read it?
Almost. But basically, it's a controller option. You set it to dual action A, and it splits the control. So the D-pad now controls the disc from the left controller, but the keypad presses are going to come from the right controller, which is what you want for Cloudy Mountain game.
Didn't we have it where I can move with the D-pad, or am I thinking wrong?
You can move now with the XY, AB.
Yeah. Okay, I was the other part. So I'm moving around with this
because you're basically you're hitting the keypads when you're doing that, right? We mapped them that way. So now you can move around the thumb with the D-pad should move your player, and you can fire with the buttons there. Yeah. And you should be able to run and gun because we put the dual action split controller effect in there.
It's really hard to play like that, guys. So I'm trying. So I just picked it up.
Yeah, if you dig into the options, you can customize the controllers quite a bit. It's not quite infinitely customizable, but like most of the common cases, you can.
And I died.
You died. You gotcha. So it's like I say, it's really cool, really good emulator. A lot of
really cool. And works really well. Highly customizable. I mean, you can get a new battery if your battery sucks in your DSi. It's an Intellivision handheld.
Yeah,
you can play other things with.
Yeah, I've been struggling. I mean, if you've listened to the podcast for 10 years, you've heard me talk about different handhelds I've gotten Intellivision running on. And almost all of them were Linux based or RetroArch based or something like that in a handheld. And I always wanted that because I wanted the customizability. I wanted to take each game and customize the controls to it so that it would be a good handheld experience. And now finally, we have this really great emulator on really good hardware. This is,
Yes.
Nintendo knows how to make good hardware. And
you can find them everywhere, cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a really good solution at this point.
Yes. Anything else that you can think of that we might have missed before we wrapped it up? I know it's kind of all over with the different windows, and maybe there's a better way I can screen share, but I just don't know how to do it. Again, all the links will be posted, and if you guys have questions, just put it in the comments, and I'll do my best to help.
Yeah, the only other thing to say is like so from this point, once you've gone through the mildly painful, I wouldn't say it's overly painful, the process we did in the video here, once you've gone through that, now you have an SD card and a DS that will boot from it. You just pull that SD card out, throw it in your computer, copy all your ROMs over, make sure they're named the way you want them, whatever, and just put it back in and boot up again. That initial investment in time and energy, you don't have to do that again, which is why Casey and I had to kind of go through it earlier, because I completely forgot all the steps because I did it over a year ago.
And it's not as difficult as it might have seemed, because we're trying to go back and forth. When you're just the one doing it, going step by step on your own computer, looking at it, it is not bad at all. And once you do it, like he said, just put your ROMs on. You can load other consoles too. I plan on using it mainly for Intellivision, but TurboGrafx 16, that sounds appealing to me. I'm just curious how they play on there.
I've been playing
Intellivision on the go.
I've been playing a Genesis homebrew that I got a hold of, and I recently got a hold of a homebrew for the Game Boy that I've been playing on here. So yeah, it's just a great system, a great solution for this kind of stuff.
I'm loading. I want to stay up late doing this because I want to take it to work tomorrow, but I really shouldn't. I got to go get the kids here in a bit, but I want to put all my homebrews and all the 125 and get everything lined up. It's like, I almost want to take a day off work just so I can finish this, because I'm so excited to finally have this where I'll be able to play Intellivision games on the go. It would be really cool. I don't know if it's possible, because don't these have wireless gaming features? If we could program homebrews and use the multiplayer thing, so like if my son had one and I had one, we could play multiplayer games. If you could hack it, or if the ROM supported it for homebrews, that would be cool.
That would be a major feature request for the emulator itself, right? The emulator itself would need to sync with the other emulator, and keep the two games in the sync state. I don't really know if the hardware could do that. In terms of because you're going to be running two versions of the game, right? And they have to somehow keep state with each other as they're playing, so that they're each updating the screens appropriately and all that. Maybe there's enough horsepower to do that. I really don't know.
Well, I know they do it on the regular games, because that's why we got it and we had some. So the unit itself is capable of it, but whether or not that could, be something that worked in there. What is going on, Tim?
I was thinking of the more generic case. I suppose you wanted to play. You and I are sitting at PRGE, and we have this new hot version of the emulator, and we want to play Sea Battle against each other. So you have a retro title, because like in the emulator, it's getting input from keypad 1. It could send that over to the other side, and the unmodified ROM could work. But to your point, if we developed an SDK of some kind and created Intellivision ROMs that had this support kind of in mind, that might be a different story. Because I was just thinking about if with all the horsepower in the world and all the bandwidth in the world, it would definitely be possible to do even on the retro ROMs. But I don't know.
Oh, it would be fun if we ever got to that point. You'd see all kinds of live. We do it now. We just put the screen side by side and okay, go, and then we go by scores and stuff. But we could actually play against each other. Man, there'd be so many of us doing that. That would be a lot of fun. So, well, anything else before we close it out? I know it's really late where you are. Again, I really appreciate you taking the time to help us and come on the show. I know it's really late for you there. I really do appreciate it. And for anyone who has not seen the Intellivision Aries podcast, it is one of my favorite things for Intellivision. You will find out so many amazing things. They're long listens. I just listen to what I can, bookmark it, keep coming back. Man, those things are great. Go check them out. You will not regret it if you haven't already. And they are still putting out episodes. So there will be somewhat shortly, maybe another episode be in the works, and definitely will be let you guys know. I just heard noise like someone's coming up the stairs and nobody's home but me and the cat.
Okay.
Maybe it's the cat.
Yeah. Check out the podcast. We're hoping to get hoping to get another one out, get it producing soon. It's just one of those things where life is so much busier now than it was 10 years ago. But
yeah, I don't even know how I find the time to do half the things I do. Everything gets a little less attention than it should, and I try to get it all in. But all right, guys. Well, Rick, I thank you for coming on, and we will hopefully see you guys, maybe you and C-Mart, whenever the episode gets close. We'll have you guys on to promote the episode, tell everyone that it's there. It's just a few minutes, like in the, not like a lengthy thing like this, just a few minutes in the news section to hear it from you guys and tell her that it's coming, and I'll post links, and we'll try to get everyone listening.
That'd be cool. That'd be all right.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, and I will speak to you soon.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
I really appreciate it. Have a good night. All right, guys. Well, this is one of my final episodes on Tuesdays. Next week, we will be here Tuesday, 6:45. It's going to be episode 12. So we are going to have Mike from Mike's Gaming Gala. He's going to be at, which expo is it? He's going to be at one of the expos. I can't remember the name of it this coming weekend. He's going to come on, give us pictures, show us videos, talk about it. We're going to have Brian of Brian's Man Cave on. The Homebrew highlight, again, like I said earlier, is going to be Napoleonic Wars. I'm going to get a pro level walkthrough. Brian programmed the game. Mike helped with the game as far as input. And we're going to give it a go and show you guys what it's all about. We're going to have Sibling Rivalry on. You guys might know who they are already. If you don't, I will have a link. You will after the show. They're very cool. Brother, sister. They have a few drinks. They play games. It is hilarious. I love those guys. I met them at PRG a couple years ago first, and I subbed to their channel. I try to watch every episode. I usually catch up on all of them. You'll find out all about them if you don't know who they are, and that will be next week. I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be a fun time. So as always, guys, see you next week. Give me a like, sub to the channel if you're not already. All I put out is Intellivision content, and I hope you enjoy it. We will see you next week. Have a good night, everyone, and thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here.